are certain traditions I've gotten used to as a Bears fan. Certain ones. And the reason being is because it just is the epitome, the peak of what the shirt talks about. Bears football! One of those traditions is missing the playoffs every year. Yeah, exactly, right? 2024, more of the same. Putting young quarterbacks into really bad spots with lame duck head coaches. Yeah, bingo, that happens. Having to hear about the defense, like the defense is great when it's really not that great. We've seen that plenty of times too. Bears football! And having to sit there and focus on the offseason and trying to pretend like this team is winning the offseason. Bears football! And here we are again in another offseason cycle. And what do you know? Bears fans are getting carried away with themselves. Now look, I understand you feel reason to be excited. And at least some of you, and not the weird like Fields cultists, feel like Caleb Williams can be the guy, and with a better situation, better coaching, a better offensive line, you could see more of that in 2025. I happen to agree. Many of you are excited because the Bears' top target should have been in this cycle Ben Johnson, if you don't go like the try to trade for McVay or Shanahan route, right? The top, like you could go and just interview him and hire him guy was Ben Johnson, and they hired him. And they did so quickly once the Lions were eliminated from the playoffs, which is traditionally not how the Bears would do business. They would act quickly to hire the wrong guy instead of hiring the right guy. And you can say, how do you know he's the right guy? And it's a fair push, right? But at this moment, Ben Johnson was the right guy for the Bears. The Bears were the right fit for Ben Johnson. How that works out in the future, and ultimately it's a results business, right? That's what matters most. But in a bubble for the moment, this was the right move for all parties involved. So I'm absolutely with Bears fans for being excited about that, as you should be. But let's not get too fucking carried away here. I see a lot of people sitting there talking about how this was so great by Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren and everything else like that. You know, maybe it was, but maybe it wasn't. We don't know. It's not like fixing the head coach alone is going to solve anywhere near all of the problems that this roster and team had in 2024. Right? And it's kind of a shame that we're even in this spot to have to be talking about the offseason again. And to those that want to sit there and now start getting slowly back to crowning him as King Poles and all of this shit, just remember, his 3 years as a general manager, he has sucked. He should have been fired. He's getting very lucky here. I want to be very clear on this. Ryan Poles did nothing to justify getting more time in Chicago as the Bears general manager. He's the one that hired Matt Eberflus. He's the one that sabotaged Justin Fields. He's the one that put Caleb Williams behind that shitty offensive line. He's the one that was a part of hiring Gutless Getsy. Put him on. I'm the offensive coordinator. He's the one that was a part of hiring Shane Waldron. Yeah, no. Like, you might, but I'm not letting him off the hook. What's going to happen, though, is he's going to luck into it now when he didn't deserve to. Oh, he made the big trade for Caleb Williams and he got the haul. Okay, so what? The bottom line results matter. And in 2024, the fact that this was not a team pushing for the playoffs when all was said and done, and they went on this massive losing streak in the regular season, he should have been fired. He absolutely should have been fired. And if you think he shouldn't have been, you are wrong. Now, what will happen in the next year or two inevitably is they'll do just enough to justify and make this take look like it's bad. But at this moment, this take is absolutely not bad. It is the correct, valid, accurate one, saving with your 3-year rebuild bullshit. So let's just remember that. The whole, like, oh, Kevin Warren, this is different now. Is it really? The whole, like, and you see, again, like people like Greg Gabriel and, you know, this is all about the confirmation bias out there, right, from Bears fans, and that's human nature. We seek out validating opinions. Talking about how great this process was and how anybody that thinks it wasn't doesn't know. You know, number one, why Bears fans take so much stock in a guy that was never a fucking NFL general manager, even though he spent decades in scouting and executive roles. That speaks volumes to Bears fans, but it also speaks volumes to how he wasn't as good of his job as his arrogance demands. This process was not great. They interviewed too many fucking people. And let's be real here. They didn't even bring in Ben Johnson for an interview in person. Sorry, but if I'm hitching my wagon to a guy for the next few years at some point, probably want to feel the vibes in person. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, let's not pretend like this process was pristine. The outcome may be right, but the process was not pristine. The fact that you're having to bring in Eddie George at the last minute to do some joke-ass Rooney Rule hire, or Rooney Rule interview, excuse me, just so you can then do what the fuck you want, which is hire Ben Johnson. Like, no, it's not a great process. Let's cut that shit out. So, a lot of Bears fans getting excited about the hiring of Dennis Allen to be the defensive coordinator. I like this move because Dennis Allen is a solid NFL defensive coordinator, but let's not pretend like they're hiring peak Dick LeBeau or peak Vic Fangio here, right? Like, he's not on that level, but he's a good defensive coordinator, which the other thing that kind of excites me here is if the Bears defense performs well, I can't see teams being so eager to go after him for a future head coaching job. So a team that needs some stability should have some stability on that side of the ball. And it's an appealing opportunity for Dennis Allen because he knows with Ben Johnson as the head coach is that Dennis Allen gets to be the head coach of the defense. And for a defensive coordinator, it's a really good opportunity, right? And he's got some pieces to work with. I say some, but again, some certainly overpaid and overrated type of players, right? It's a whole thing though of you got Bears fans talking about the money that this team has to spend in free agency, the draft picks and everything else. And yes, all of that is good. And you could keep winning off seasons all you want, but at some point in time, you got to start winning fucking games and win games that matter. And I'm seeing Bears fans talking shit with Packers fans and Lions fans and Vikings fans and like, what the fuck are you doing? Those three teams made the playoffs this season. The Bears did not and comfortably failed to make them. You don't see me going around shit talking Packers fans and Lions fans and the Vikings. Why? I might talk about their team and some of the dumb things or some of the good things, sure, but I'm not going to sit there and trash talk them. For what? Oh, that's a part of your rivalry. And there is no fucking rivalry. And frankly, I don't fucking care. If the Bears went 11-6 and lost all 6 of their division games every year but won the Super Bowl, who gives a fucking shit? My priority is not sitting there and beating the Green Bay Packers. And I see Bears fans getting hyped up because Ben Johnson took a bit of a shot at Matt LaFleur of like, oh, it felt good to beat him twice a fucking year. This is similar shit to Lovie Smith. Number one goal of the program. Number one goal of the program is to beat Green Bay. No, number one goal of the program is to win the fucking Super Bowl. I don't give a shit about Matt LaFleur or Dan Campbell or Kevin O'Connell. Who gives a fuck? Those are the things that sound good to dopey-ass fan bases. The things that sound good to me are what are the things you're going to do that are going to be different this time? What are the things that you're going to do that are going to make this team competitive, a contender, and eventually a champion? All this other shit doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. So Bears fans are talking about, hey, they might do this and they might do that. Like, let's temper our expectations here only in the sense of the Bears haven't won shit yet in the 2025 season. And right now, the number one goal of the program is hurry up and get the fucking new stadium deal done and not have it be a joke and a farce. That's number one goal. Number two goal of the program, though, and it's a very important, you could argue 1B goal of the program, is fix the fucking trenches! Like, you can be excited, Bears fans. I'm not telling you can't be excited at all, but let's temper the expectations. You may have gotten the guy that you wanted as head coach. The Bears hired the guy that I wanted as head coach. Yes, that excites me a little bit. But I still remember that Ryan Poles is the general manager. Their defensive line is mid as fuck to bad. Their offensive line absolutely sucks donkey. They've got holes all over the fucking place. And frankly, at other positions, they've got more holes than you like to pretend. And we're still in a spot where people are trying to talk themselves into based off of some bullshit analytics that they don't even know how are calculated and ignore the eyeball test that Braxton Jones should be a long-term left tackle for this team. No, he's Charles Leno Light. He should fucking not be. But it's again about settling. Bears football! So, be hopeful for the future. That's great. Just remember that this team's still got a ton of holes. They've got a general manager where it is very fair to question his roster build strategy, his approach to free agency, and frankly, his drafting as well. Like one head coaching hire, one defensive coordinator hire doesn't fix all the problems here. No, by the way, even with the Dennis Allen piece, typically what happens with a new defensive coordinator is you have to remake the team, remake the defensive roster around what fits in that system with that defensive coordinator. So there's probably more changes coming there than you might anticipate. So be hopeful, yes. Let's just not get too fucking carried away here, folks. Because until we see this team play regular season games in the 2025 season, all this other shit is unnecessary, unfounded fucking hype. That's what it is.